Howdy folks, and a great big welcome to each and every one of you. Well, that tune that I just played is called Banish Misfortune, and it's an old traditional Irish tune that's played at sessions all over the place. So the word misfortune appears several times. Misfortune also means disaster. So what I'd like to do now is a little Bible reading. So for those of you folks who do not want to hear a Bible reading, now's the time for you to end the video. I'll say adios and thanks a lot for watching. Meanwhile, for those of you who are hanging on, the word misfortune appears a lot of times in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and I found a few examples. 1 Kings chapter 5. This is Solomon responding to Hiram, the king of Tyre. And Solomon says, You know that because of the wars waged against my father David from all sides, he could not build a temple for the name of the Lord his God, until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side, and there is no adversary or disaster, no enemies and no misfortune. And further on, I found another example of misfortune in Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 5 says, He who mocks the poor shows contempt for their maker. Whoever gloats over disaster will not go unpunished. So if you're gloating over other people's misfortunes, you will not go unpunished. So that's a good one to pay attention to. People who feel superior to others often gloat when other people get into trouble or some sort of misfortune occurs, and they shouldn't be gloating. Further on in Obadiah, a little book towards the end of the Old Testament. This is Obadiah speaking to the Edomites. Where we go? Here we go. The Edomites stood by and didn't help Israel when and Judah when the Babylonians were invading them. And Obadiah says, This is what the sovereign Lord says about Edom. Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. You will be destroyed forever. On the day that you stood aloof while strangers carried off his wealth, and foreigners entered his gates and cast lots for Jerusalem, you were like one of them. You should not look down on your brother in the day of his misfortune, nor rejoice over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction. So, why did he call you should not look down on your brother? It's because Edom and the Israelites, their common ancestors were the brothers Esau and Jacob. And instead of helping out Israel and Judah, the Edomites just stood by and essentially did nothing to help them out. Further on, let's go to Oh, this is the Apostle Paul on his way to Rome to be heard by Caesar. Um, he was on a large boat carrying prisoners. 276 people on this big boat, and they shipwrecked. And some people swam, and other people were hanging on to boards that came off of the busted up ship, and they landed on the island of Malta, which is, I think, south and west of Italy. Uh, Once safely on shore, this is the Apostle Paul. I guess Luke was writing Acts 2. Once safely on shore, we found out that the island was called Malta. The islanders showed us unusual kindness. They built a fire and welcomed us all because it was raining and cold. Paul gathered a pile of brushwood, and as he put it on the fire, a viper, driven out by the heat, fastened itself on his hand. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, "This man must be a murderer, for though he escaped from the sea, justice has not allowed him to live." But Paul shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no ill effects. The people expected him to swell up or suddenly fall dead, but after waiting a long time and seeing nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their minds and said he was a god. And I'm sure that Paul would have protested against them calling him a god, because he did that way back when he and Barnabas were together. They tore their clothes and said, "No, no, we're not gods. We're just human beings like you are." Yeah. So Paul suffered actually several misfortunes during his life. He was beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, starved, and was out in the cold and thrown in prison. So misfortune occurs to everybody, but at the end, when the new heavens are established after when Jesus returns, in Revelation chapter 21, it describes a time when there will be no misfortune, when misfortunes will be banished forever. So this is John. He was banished to the island of Patmos, and he had a vision. So he's describing his vision. "And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'Now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.'" So that's a time when misfortune will be banished forever. So I hope you enjoyed the tune, and I hope you enjoyed the readings. God bless, and we'll see you down the road.